as entrepreneurs, we want to make a difference in the world. We want to deliver tremendous value to our clients. We want to make all kinds of things happen. But to do that, we need energy. We need to be fit. We need to be able to really raise a bar and make things happen. Well, I've got a remarkable fellow entrepreneur with me today. And he is going to be like no one else that you've ever met. He's a New York Times bestselling author, and he is one of the top trainers in the world. I mean, look, I don't want to miss any of this. You know, fitness, nutrition, health. He is one of the top experts. And as an entrepreneur, he's not only, a great business person, but he's got over 250,000 people, monthly visitors following his advice and blogs, podcasts, and all kinds of other different things he does. And he competes as a triathlon, as a Spartan athlete, and multiple Ironman. Now, I know some of you out there might be like me, and you're going, John, I don't want to be an Ironman. Well, I've asked Ben Greenfield, this remarkable entrepreneur trainer, to work with us today to really, so that we can have the high performance we need to make that difference. You do not want to miss this. I'm John Bowen, and you're at AES Nation, all about accelerating your success even more. Stay tuned.
Ordinary success? No way. You want amazing, remarkable, exceptional breakthroughs. Dig deep, think bold, drive hard, watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
Yeah, wow, this is such a great privilege to meet you at a mastermind talks, a good friend that we have, Jason Gennard. And we kind of ran into each other, and I've been seeing your work, and Jason speaks so highly of you. And I saw you in action in this group. And I just had to bring you to our entrepreneurial audience. So first of all, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. And I forgot this was a video podcast. You're lucky I actually have my shirt on. I forgot to comb my hair. I might have green smoothie on my face. So my apologies for any unkempt appearance I may have. But hey, at least I got dressed. So we got
well, and one of the things I love, Ben, is that you are the first. I don't know how many video interviews along the way I've done. It's hundreds of them. You're the first that really is walking their talk, literally, because you're on a treadmill. We're doing this together, and
that's the way to do it, babe. I mean, you can. I don't know how many people watching like talk on the phone or do anything that basically involves in anything other than typing during the day. But you can walk like 5, 6, 7 miles, and now I have this. I bought a wireless headset. This it's a Jabra headset, and I use the Dragon dictation software. And now I can do all my emails too while I'm walking, and it's incredibly accurate. For a while I struggled with this Dragon dictation, and I got a really good mic headset. And now, I mean, I can walk all day long. It's kind of like fooling my body into thinking that it's in ancestral hunter gatherer farmer mode, when in fact all I'm doing is working on my laptop. But yeah, it's a nice little hack to be able to keep yourself in shape.
Well, and it's one I do, Ben, too. I mean, I use a different headset, a Sennheiser one, but I've got a great headset. I got Dragon Speaking Naturally version 14. I just loaded up, and I put on probably 6 to 7 miles a day. I have a treadmill. I don't get on the treadmill. I'm more wandering, and if it's not too windy outside, I got a noise reduction headset. I can walk around my property. I got a lot of property here, as you do too. Nice. And it's just, it's amazing what you can do. And we're going to talk about a lot of hacks, because there are people like me who, Ben, I think I would be one of the first guys if they would invent the pill that you could take that just guaranteed fitness for everything. I would take that. But they haven't got that yet. I'm counting on some of the other guys to come up with that, or maybe yourself too. But what I love about what you're doing is you've got a lot of balance and harmony in everything you're doing, and you really customize it to whatever level. And we're going to talk about it from a business owner perspective, somebody to have that energy. But one of the things I'd love to hear is kind of how you got to this point. I mean, is this something, throughout? I met your brother too at the event. And I mean, you two guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
some of the fittest guys I know. How did you get started in all this?
Yeah, I'll tell you, but one other quick tip here. I'll tilt the camera a little bit. The thing you got to do if you get the walking treadmill, I just added this, the heavy bag. So you put a heavy bag next to your desk, and this is for when you talk to the really annoying people, and you just need a little bit of catharsis after the consult or after the phone call. You just beat the bag for about 2 minutes. And it's a great way to let off a little steam.
I can see, Ben, wait a minute, I can see everybody hitting Amazon right now and buying the bag because they could use that one. But yeah, give us a little of the backstory.
Yeah, so I don't have the wounded healer type of background. I was never morbidly obese or diseased or anything like that. I've just basically been completely geeked out on health, fitness, biohacking, anti-aging, longevity, nutrition, diet, everything since I was 13 years old. As a kid, I was kind of a geek. I was very into like online World of Warcraft and played violin for 13 years. And I was president of the chess club and not a stereotypical, jock or anything like that. But I got involved in tennis at a pretty early age. And, from 13 years old on, wanted to figure out how to get a better body, how to get a better brain, how to enhance fitness with basically the minimal effective dose of exercise or dieting or supplementation, how to basically get the most out of the body with better living through science. And I studied for 5 years at the collegiate level, exercise physiology and human biomechanics. And then upon graduating, I started a series of personal training studios and gyms, partnered with some local physicians in the Washington and Idaho area. And we did really advanced type of personal training studios where you'd come in and we'd do, early on we were doing platelet-rich plasma injections for joints where we'd take out your blood and spin it and re-inject the platelets to fix joint issues. We did high-speed video analysis of walking and running and cycling, indirect calorimetry, where you get on a treadmill and you measure how much fat and how much carbohydrate you burn at varying heart rates during rest and during exercise. And so basically did these really advanced personal training studios and gyms for about 5 years. And then I was voted as America's top personal trainer back in 2008. And I got kind of inundated with more of like the speaking and the freelancing and the writing requests. And so I kind of pivoted to a new chapter in life where I began doing more of what I do now, which is primarily writing and speaking and doing human performance and longevity and mental coaching with a very small number of people from around the world, primarily via Skype and phone. But now a lot of what I do is I speak and I write and I freaking study every single day as much as I can about how to get the most out of the body and the brain. And then I also, like you alluded to, I still race professionally. I raced for 10 years in Ironman triathlon. Before that, I competed as a bodybuilder. Now I primarily race in obstacle training and hunting competitions, bow shooting and obstacle racing, essentially with a weapon. So those are some of the things I do. But honestly, I'm a big fan of keeping the body and the brain young by delving into as many different activities as possible. So I'm training for a kickboxing fight right now and doing a lot of spear fishing, getting ready for a moose and bear hunt up in BC. I think the more things you can throw at your brain and your body, the better when it comes to keeping yourself young.
Well, yeah, this is great, Ben. And what I want to do is I want to ask you, and let's kind of dive through so many of the lessons you've learned, not only for yourself, but so many of the people that you've been able to help. Is I look at it and there's a fellow that I worked with, you and I talked about when we were together at the Mastermind, Jim Lohr, who wrote a book called Corporate Athlete. And
Yeah.
I always loved this concept that he talked about because it was kind of the first time fitness hit me as something that, as a business owner, I need to do. I love, a number of sports playing and doing it. So had to keep at least something about if you don't work out at all and you go, heavy downhill skiing, things hurt an awful lot type, and you can't get the time on the mountain that you want. So, there's always been that reason to do fitness. But what he showed me, and, I know now, I didn't know your work then, I know it now. I mean, you're very aligned, is this, this whole concept is, entrepreneurs, business owners, what's going on is, we look at somebody like Ben, many of us, and we say, geez, Ben's a professional athlete. Of course, he's training about 95% of the time to perform 5%. And then we go to business owners, entrepreneurs, and we say, we don't need to do that. But what we do is we perform pretty close to 100% and do no training. And what we end up, it's not time management that's important as successful business owners. It's really energy management, that we can show up and be present for our businesses, our family, our friends, and so on. And, Ben, what are some of the, when you think about performance for business owners, what comes to mind on how you've helped our fellow entrepreneurs?
I sometimes get the sense that people think that I do exercise all day, but the fact is, aside from, unless you count walking on the treadmill, I'm running 2 corporations. I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids, I'm angel investing. I'm all over the place in terms of the number of plates that I'm spinning. And so I think that when it comes to maintaining the health of your body and brain, you need to take a few cues from my playbook, frankly, when it comes to basically allowing yourself to stay in peak shape mentally and physically, while still juggling your social obligations, your business obligations, your family obligations, etc. What are some of the ways that I personally do that? First of all, low-level physical activity all day long. Not to kick that horse to death, but it's what we started with, and it's one of the things that is the most important. I was at dinner with some guys the other night down in Salt Lake, and I excused myself from the table, and I came back, and I was a little bit red-faced. And one of the guys asked me, what was up? Had I just sprinted up the stairs? And I said, no, I did my 40 squats. He said, what do you mean? I said, every time I go to the bathroom, I do 40 air squats so that I can keep my blood glucose levels normalized throughout the day. That's one little rule that I follow. I walk on the treadmill throughout the day. I start off every day with about 10 to 15 minutes of deep breathing and yoga. I have a barbell in the room next to my office that I'll go in and lift. Just a few times a day, I'll lift the barbell off the ground. That's it. Just lift it and set it down. I've got a pull-up bar hanging outside the door, and every time I walk under it, I do 5 pull-ups. I also do quite a bit of intermittent fasting throughout the day, meaning I go for long periods of time between meals so that my blood sugar levels aren't elevated, and I'm keeping my body in that state where it's constantly burning fats as a fuel rather than carbohydrates as a fuel. So there's not a lot of snacking or grazing.
Ben,
what I'm getting at.
Well, Ben, and when you say long term, give me a time frame on the fasting as well.
Okay, yeah. So with fasting, when it comes to turning your body into a fat burning machine, there are 3 things that are important when it comes to the dietary approach. Number 1 is don't do a lot of snacking and grazing, like I just mentioned. So that typically means about 4 to 5 hours between meals. You would be surprised at how quickly it takes about 2 weeks for the body to begin to get very efficient at burning fats as a primary source of fuel rather than burning sugars as a primary source of fuel. Some people last about 3 days. They feel like crap. They don't realize that after about that 2-week mark, you begin to feel like $1,000,000. But if you can push through and get to the point where you're eating just 3 square meals a day, and this would even be if you're exercising, right? If you're doing like an afternoon workout, whatever, there's no need to do the pre-workout power bar or maltodextrin whey protein isolate shake before you jump into the gym. Once you've trained your body to be able to efficiently tap into its own fat stores as a fuel, that 3 square meals a day works out pretty well. Unless you count my pre-dinner glass of wine. That might count as a 4th if you saw the size of the fishbowl I drink a glass of wine out of. But basically what this comes down to is number 1 is 3 meals a day. Number 2 is you work in an intermittent fast each day. What I mean by that is for every 24-hour cycle, I go for 12 to 16 hours without eating. There's a great deal of evidence that cellular turnover, what's called cellular autophagy, cleanup of the junk in the cells, and a decreased rate at which your telomeres shorten, which is basically correlated with increased longevity, is a potent response to this intermittent fasting type of approach. Now, that type of effect occurs when you do week-long fasts, when you do, say, 24-hour fasts, when you engage in some of the more, I guess, like difficult and uncomfortable forms of fasting. But what I like is that you can achieve the same effect with this 12 to 16-hour intermittent fast. And all that means is, let's say you finish eating dinner at, say, 8 p.m., or you finish your last meal of the day at 8 p.m., you just don't eat again until 8 a.m., or preferably 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. And so most of the time, you're sleeping while you're fasted. It's not like you're biting the insides of your cheeks hungry, because a lot of the time you're just asleep. But you would be surprised that once you start to do this, how you realize that, oh, hey, I was snacking on that handful of almonds before I went to bed at night, or I was getting up out of bed and doing my big cup of whatever, coffee with the butter and the oil in it, and breaking the fast early. But basically it comes down to 365 days a year, I do this 12 to 16 hour intermittent fast. That's number 2, in addition to not snacking and grazing throughout the day. And then number 3 is you save all of your carbohydrates until the end of the day. Okay, so based on the body's natural circadian rhythms, our body temperature peaks, our testosterone peaks, our grip strength peaks, our post-workout protein synthesis peaks, all this stuff peaks towards the end of the day, later afternoon to early evening. Now what this means is your body is primed for a really, really good 1-2 combo towards the end of the day. A, your hardest movement session of the day. So this would be like weightlifting or high intensity interval training or anything like that. And B, following that hard workout, at some point in the 2 to 3 hour range after that workout, you have dinner, and with dinner, you have carbohydrates. But if you've timed that workout later on in the day, your body will take all those carbohydrates that you eat and shove them into muscle tissue or liver tissue, rather than allowing that sugar to stay in the bloodstream for a long period of time. And so this is also known as a carbohydrate backloading approach, a carbohydrate night approach. But what it means is that all day long you're burning fats as a fuel. You're keeping your body in a state of what is known as ketosis. And then at the very end of the day, you eat some carbohydrates, and these help to keep your thyroid levels elevated. They help to keep testosterone elevated. They help to keep your energy levels elevated the rest of the next day. But you save all the carbohydrates for the end of the day. And up until that point, you're just doing plants, really good fats like avocados and olive oil and olives, moderate amounts of protein, but not excessive protein, because that can also have an anti-aging or an excessive aging effect. But little bits of fish, like some cold water fish with lunch, seeds, nuts, things like that. But ultimately, it's high fat, plant-rich diet with moderate amounts of protein all day long. At the end of the day, you do a hard exercise session, then you have your carbohydrates with dinner. When combined with intermittent fasting and only eating 3 meals a day, it's a really, really easy way to keep yourself lean and to keep your blood sugar levels low, and to kind of keep yourself in that fat burning mode all day long.
This is great. I mean, we've kind of covered 2 areas. We've got the performance side going, and I love creating the rules. I matter of fact, I wrote down a number that I've got to do, but I just we talked about, and we said that earlier, just that whenever I'm on the phone, I have a rule. I don't sit down, and it's and it's been one of those things that adds 5 miles a day.
Right.
Yeah,
and I take that and I raise you one. My rule is I sit to eat. Okay, so sitting is a position that activates your parasympathetic nervous system. So it downregulates your metabolism. It puts you in rest and digest mode. There's nothing wrong necessarily with sitting. You just want to strategically choose the times at which you sit. And frankly, because sitting can put a lot of stress on the low back, it downregulates the metabolism, kind of causes you to hunch the shoulders over, etc. You want to choose wisely the times at which you choose to sit. And since many of us, for breakfast or lunch or dinner, we're in a social situation, we might be out at a restaurant, we might be with our family at home, whatever, we choose that. I choose that time to sit. So I only sit when I'm eating. The rest of the time, when I'm at work, I'm walking on the treadmill, I'm lunging, I'm kneeling, I'm standing, I'm leaning, etc. But that sit to eat strategy works really well.
Well, no, this is great. And one of the challenges so many of us have, once we're starting to get that energy, we're get that discipline, we're putting together the exercise program, and it's really, it's a life program versus an exercise program. We're living life, we're making sure we have it. We're now getting the nutrition, we're burning fat. Some of us, me included, have a little bit more, Ben. I'm pretty sure my BMI index is higher than yours, or whatever index we use.
It's a bowl index anyways.
Yeah.
Because it ranks most football players, who are at whatever, let's say 6 to 12% body fat, but mostly muscle. It ranks them as morbidly obese. So yeah, I'm a bigger fan of the body fat percentage versus the BMI. But that's an aside. Go ahead.
And the point I wanted to make, Ben, is that many business owners, what we do is we go ahead and we start out young guys. I recently turned 60 and great shape, running hard, and we put more time into our business and then our family. And one of the easiest things for many of us, and this would be me, was it was pretty easy to I used to do trail running all the time. I love doing 10Ks every once in a while, a longer race than that, big elevation change, played all the sports, and then it just slowly went away. And the reason, and all of a sudden I find, I just did with Peter Diamandis' Human Longevity, and one of the big findings they said was I needed to lose some weight, which I paid a lot of money to learn that, but and I've gone to Stanford Clinic and so on. What do you tell, we've kind of covered it a bit, but somebody that's got that extra weight, how can they take that off, doing what we've been talking about so far, and maybe even accelerate it a little bit more?
Well, you can either choose to do what most Men's Health, Women's Health, Prevention Magazine, Reader's Digest, et cetera, is going to tell you to do, which is to exercise and diet, right? Restrict calories and do these Mondo workouts at the gym. Frankly, that can be difficult to sustain. Some type of calorie restricted diet, or some type of meeting with your personal trainer every afternoon or something like that. I'm a big fan of stripping fat off the body as fast as possible and shifting your body into fat burning mode as efficiently as possible with the minimum effective dose. And that involves a little bit of biohacking. So for example, one of the things I'm a huge fan of to cause fat cells to lyse open, release their triglycerides, release toxins, and disappear from the body is high-dose niacin followed by infrared sauna. Big fan of that approach. In the morning, it causes you to lose fat very quickly. And when combined with something called cold thermogenesis, which basically means you follow up that sauna session with a cold shower or a cold bath or a cold soak, you actually shift even more adipose tissue and convert it into brown fat, which is metabolically active fat that takes calories to generate heat. So a few times a week, I'm a big fan of high-dose niacin plus sauna followed by a cold shower. So that's one really good strategy for getting fat off the body very quickly. Another one that I like is the idea of doing something very easy in the morning while in that intermittent fasted state, preferably with caffeine in the system, which shifts your body into fatty acid oxidation. So what I mean by that is you get up in the morning and you do an easy walk in the sunshine for 20 to 30 minutes, or even better yet, like a cold water swim where your body's having to burn some calories to generate heat. Or an easy bike ride, or anything very easy aerobic. Your body's parasympathetic nervous system predominates in the morning, and so doing something very easy in a fasted state with caffeine in your body in the morning and saving anything hard until the afternoon or the evening is a really good 1-2 combo. So that's another one that I like. Another strategy is to keep blood sugar levels as low as possible throughout the day. Now that 3 square meals a day approach that I talked about works well. If you want to take this to the next level and biohack it a little bit, there are compounds you can put into your body that increase insulin sensitivity and drop what is called your postprandial blood glucose very quickly, which again allows you to lose fat more quickly. 3 of the more potent ones are cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon is the actual form of cinnamon used in research that's been shown to significantly lower blood glucose after a meal. About 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So you could, for example, put that into your morning coffee. Apple cider vinegar is the second. About a shot of apple cider vinegar per day. You can put this into a morning glass of water. You can do it before dinner, but that also significantly lowers blood glucose. And then the last is something you'll see a lot of Asian populations using, especially in some of these blue zones like Okinawa, and that is bitter melon extract. Bitter melon extract is about as potent as the diabetic drug metformin when it comes to lowering blood glucose and keeping your blood glucose normalized after, say, a carbohydrate-rich meal or even a protein-rich meal, which can spike blood glucose. So that would be another strategy. So we've got sauna with high-dose niacin. We've got morning fasted fat-burning sessions with caffeine in the system. We've got the use of insulin sensitizers like cinnamon, like bitter melon extract, like apple cider vinegar. And if I could throw one additional tip at you, it would be something that a lot of people don't take into account when it comes to keeping your metabolism elevated. And that would be realizing that the human body is more or less a battery, right? Like all of our cells operate based on an electrochemical potential across the membrane. It's typically about 70 to 80 millivolts is the frequency or the voltage at which cell membranes work very efficiently, at which your mitochondria takes calories, generates ATP, etc. Well, there are four factors, in addition to exercise and nutrition, that affect that electrochemical potential: air, water, electricity, and light. So many people do not account for those variables in their life, meaning have a good HEPA air filter. Pay attention to the type of air that you're breathing. Does it have mold in it? Does it have fungi in it? Is the air that you're breathing chock full of negative ions? Or right here in my office, I've got 2 negative ion generators plugged in that are churning out the same type of electricity in the air as I might get if I were standing next to a waterfall or walking through the forest. So the air that you breathe is super important. When I get on an airplane, I'll reach up and put a little bit of Thieves essential oil on that little air circulator that shoots down on me on the plane, so I'm cleaning the air that I'm breathing on the plane as well. With water, you want to make sure that you are not drinking fluoridated, chlorinated water from the municipal water supply that has things like birth control pills and pharmaceuticals in it. If you just want a done-for-you water solution, the best tip that I can give you for your office or your home is get a really good reverse osmosis water filtration system, which is going to filter out everything, including the minerals, which is why you want to make sure whatever you use for your water has a remineralizer in it. And you want to ask whoever's installing your water filter, like a central home water filter, for something that has reverse osmosis plus remineralization. And if you want to add one extra kind of X factor in there, you want to structure that water after it's passed through the filter. Water that pours down mountaintops or falls through underground streams, that water actually vibrates at a specific frequency, and that frequency is removed. That crystalline lattice-like structure of water that allows it to really penetrate into a cell, that all gets removed after you've filtered water, after it sits in basins, after it sits in pipes, etc. So ideally, you have a reverse osmosis plus remineralization, and then afterwards you pass that through what's called a structured water filter. Very, very simple 1, 2, 3 combo to set up for water. When it comes to light, basically right now, I am bathed in blue light, meaning I have special bulbs. These ones are made by a company called Lighting Science that simulates sunlight in my office. Now that means I'm shutting down melatonin production, I'm causing enhanced wakefulness, I'm keeping my circadian rhythm in alignment rather than being in like a dark, dimly lit room. But up in my bedroom, I'm at my home office right now, up in my bedroom, there is no light from the blue light wave spectrum. All the lights up in the bedroom only generate red light, which is the type of light you'd get from the moon, from the stars. They're absent of this bright blue light that a lot of artificial lighting produces. And I'll do other things like wear blue light blocking glasses at night if I'm using my screen. I'll use the Kindle sleep mode when I'm using my Kindle. I'll use the new iOS setting to decrease blue light from the screen. I have Flux installed on my computer. But basically, I pay attention to light all the times. Based on the time of day that it is, I ask myself, what would my ancestors have been experiencing right now when it comes to the type of lighting that their eyes or that their skin was being exposed to? And then I make sure I set up my own lighting in my house accordingly. And then finally, in addition to air and water and light, is electricity, right? So I'm not on Wi-Fi right now. My Wi-Fi router is off. I use Cat6 shielded Ethernet cable all throughout my house, so I'm not getting exposed to Wi-Fi. I don't wear any self-quantification devices that emit Bluetooth. I don't use any smart appliances in my home. I try to decrease electrical pollution as much as possible. I've actually walked through my home with one of these Gauss meters you can use to measure the amount of dirty electricity or electrical pollution in my home, and it's extremely low. You know, my computer right now is plugged into a dirty electricity filter. I sleep on a grounding sheet, which allows my body to feel as though it were sleeping right next to the planet Earth, which emits a frequency that keeps you electrically grounded. A lot of people walk around though during the day with a cell phone in the pocket, with the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth turned on. Wi-Fi signals or their router right next to them in the office. All sorts of dirty electricity coming at the body from a variety of angles, and that also significantly inhibits metabolism and the electrochemical potential of the cell membrane. So air, water, light, electricity, pay attention to those variables. Those come into play not just for things like your mental performance and your longevity and health, but also your metabolism, which equates to the question that you started all this off with, John, which is, you know, how do I keep my body losing fat effortlessly? And that's another big thing.
Well, you know, Ben, this is so good. And I always do a transcript of everything and encourage everybody pointing to aesnation.com above me. And, you know, you can download it. I got to tell you got to do it in Ben. Because, Ben, you know, with this interview, one of the things I love, you know, we haven't talked about you got to go out and run a marathon. We haven't talked about, you know, really anything that's hard. It's kind of setting the rules up and then just, you know, creating the environment for success. I mean, as business owners, what we all want to be is successful on purpose, and you've really done that. What I'd like to do is let me go to another segment, which is resources. And I want to pull up your website and tell me a little bit about what you've got on your website. And, you know, and I've got the picture up there, and you can see that Ben, you know, without the shirt and climbing a rope, you got a few muscles there, Ben, and hung out with you. I know you got more than a few, but, you know, what's at the website? What resources do you have for, you know, our fellow business owners, entrepreneurs?
Sure. Probably the best resource, at least for me, because I'm one of those guys that listens to audiobooks in the car and listens to podcasts. And I like to maximize my time. And so anytime I have to choose between music and making my brain better, I choose the latter. So I do a podcast twice a week. I'll bring on a special guest and I interview them. I pick their brain. I'm incredibly privileged because I actually get to talk to people I'd normally have to pay lots of money to talk to. And instead, I just interview them on a podcast and put it out there for free to everybody.
I love your podcast, and I just listened to it. I'm a little behind, but, you know, on your wine. And I thought it was kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, it's a wide range of subjects, even on how to drink wine well, too. So, I mean, I would encourage it because a lot of this stuff we've got to hear over and over again. And this is, you know, one of the best ways to do it is through podcasts. But what else, Ben?
I put out an article every week, typically long content. I'm not a big fan of like really short snippets. I'll do one monster article on, you know, something like you mentioned, like wine, or the next one I have coming up is on exactly what I was just talking about, how to adjust your light throughout the day to optimize your circadian rhythms. And so every week I put a lot of work into one killer blog post that focuses on performance or digestion, you know, optimizing hormones, you name it. So that's another good resource. And then at the website greenfieldfitnesssystems.com, I pretty much collect anything that I ever find when it comes to supplements, biohacks, gear, books, etc. Anything that I personally use, I put up on that site, and I figure out a way to get it into other people's hands. That's everything that I recommend is over there. I also do quite a bit of research, like I mentioned. You know, typically a good hour of every morning I spend just reading research journals, you know, pouring through the blogosphere, etc. And one of the things that I've found is that when it comes to enhancing or maintaining fitness as you age, there are a cluster of physiological variables that you want to address. Specifically, mitochondrial density, strength, muscular endurance, stamina, and VO2 max, or maximum oxygen utilization. If you can hit each of those parameters, then you're like Batman, right? You've got the power, you've got the strength, you've got all of the different parameters that basically make you the ultimate superhero, rather than being somebody like the, say, Incredible Hulk, who just specializes in, say, strength. So I created a program called the Look Good Naked Longevity Program, and it incorporates each of these different variables in the minimum effective dose of exercise during the week. Some of the things we talked about, right? The morning fasted fat burning session, alternating on alternate days between a specific form and length of high intensity interval training and a specific type of strength training. I use in that program primarily stuff that you could do anytime, anywhere: the gym, the hotel, bedroom, basement, park, wherever. Primarily super slow strength training, which is very, very easy on the joints, and then explosive strength training, because hard, wiry muscle has been shown to be much better for longevity than big, bulky muscle. And so I use primarily body weight style and very light exercises, but done very quickly and explosively. So I lay it all out in this program, exactly what you're supposed to do each day of the week. And I'll just give that to people for free if you want that. I'll put that over at bengreenfieldfitness.com/AES. And that's just a PDF you can download and follow.
Yeah, Ben, that's great. It's really appreciated because, I mean, one of the things you and I have talked a lot about is human longevity. And, this is we're all interested in this one. We want to, have good, long lives, and everything that you've been sharing is really making a huge difference. So I want to...
Yeah. And you want to have a good long life. Sorry to interrupt real quick. With good libido, without being cold all the time. So I mean, granted, you can live a long time, and you can be like that, like that sad tortoise at the zoo who's just kind of super slow and kind of cold and not hypercharged when it comes to libido and stuff like that. And the way that you do that is you restrict calories. That's basically what it comes down to, right? Like, you eat whatever, 1,000, 1,500 calories a day. Research has shown us that you're going to live a long time. I would rather, through supplementation, air, light, water, electricity, biohacking, etc., live just as long, but with high libido, good sex, good levels of physical performance, the ability to be able to go out and climb whatever Mount Everest out there that you want to climb. And I think that's important. Is there's different ways to live a long time, and ideally you choose the method that allows you to live a long time and also experience life to the fullest, to live a limitless life.
Yeah, Ben, this is fantastic. And I want to encourage all my fellow entrepreneurs, to go to aesnation.com. We'll have the links to the, Look Good Naked. I like that already. Longevity plan. And, this is a real opportunity. Make sure, let me do a last segment here, the key takeaways that you need to do. And the big thing is, think about your own performance. You owe it to yourself and everybody around you, all your stakeholders, your clients, your customers, your family members, your teammates, your partners. You need to be able to have that high energy. We've got to have the performance. We've got to have, we've got to be lean machines to accomplish everything that we want. Nutrition, there's so many ideas that Ben gave us. What I love is the biohacking. That's so much of this. There's so much research now, and Ben is a student of this, one of the top, and he's got a great platform in his podcast that you can follow the more that you're interested in this, because he is on a journey. And what we want to do is find people like Ben that we can follow so that we can really have the success in making the difference. Ben, thank you again for sharing your tremendous insights. And I encourage everyone out there to go out and make a difference. And to make that big difference with everyone, we've got to make the difference in ourselves first, as Ben shared. Wish you the best of success.
Exceptional, remarkable breakthroughs. AESNation.com.